Welcome to another episode of Sports and Discourse with your host, Derek Stevenson. And today, man, I got another special guest for y'all. I got my guy, Jason Alexander, on the line with me. Jason, what's up, brother?
Hey, what's up, Derek? You doing all right?
Yes, sir, man. Listen, so I had actually been talking to some of the guys in the group, Quentin Walker and Isaiah Barron, and I was asking them if they knew you. And they were like, nah, we don't know him personally, but they were like, he's definitely always active in the group. And I was like, man, he be really low key supporting us. And they were like, yeah, I've been noticing that. And I was like, yeah, at some point or another, I definitely would like to have him on the show, right? So,
Right.
I just be trying to figure out when the right time is to, invite people on. And I had just been noticing that you are maybe one of the only Russell Westbrook supporters that I know at this point. So I said,
Yeah.
man, this is going to be the perfect topic for us. Russell Westbrook. So,
Right. Right.
what I want to do is I want to start off by asking you, with the Lakers struggling the way they've been struggling this year, it seems that
hmm
everybody is putting all the blame on Westbrook. And I just want to know, do you think he's the reason for the Lakers struggling?
I don't think he's the sole reason for them struggling. He definitely plays a part and deserves some of the blame, but I don't think he deserves as much blame as he's been getting. I mean, this is his third team in 3 years, and he's this is a whole new role for him in all the teams that he's been on. I mean, you got to think when he was with Washington, he was still one of the top dogs there in Washington, and when he was in Houston, he was still one of the top dogs in Houston. But here at the Lakers, he's not really one of the top dogs, but he's treated as if he is a top dog. But he's not. He's not LeBron, and he's not Anthony Davis. And learning this new role as the third option has always been something that's been difficult. It was difficult for Chris Bosh. It was difficult for Kevin Love. And I don't see why it should be any different for Russell Westbrook as far as him learning that role and learning what's needed of him and trying to give that on an everyday basis. And in my opinion, I think a lot of that has to do with Frank Vogel and Frank Vogel and the lineups that he's putting out because a lot of these lineups aren't helpful for us to be able to be successful. I think it was Dwayne Wade who said it the other night on the TNT broadcast. The Lakers have to help Russell Westbrook be Russell Westbrook, and so Westbrook can help them. And that made a lot of sense to me because a lot of the things that the Lakers are doing is not. It hasn't been helpful for Russ as far as his growth on the team, but at the same time, if you watch every game or if you're into every game or following every game, you can see that there are baby steps of progress being made in this situation. And as a Laker fan, I preach patience amongst those who, I guess, who can't stand Russell Westbrook, who can't stand that he's on the team. Because a lot of the Laker fans I know can't stand him and they don't want him on the team at all. Whereas I'm a Russell Westbrook fan and a Laker fan, I was happy to see him join the team. So I'm just waiting for that moment when all three of them are healthy at the same time, and when we can actually see if anything can go on with this situation. But is he to blame for the whole situation? No. Does he share some blame for the way he's been playing? Absolutely. But like I said, there's baby steps being shown, and progress is being shown in some situations. And I think that as a whole, we all just need to wait and see if the Lakers can actually get healthy and see if they can deliver on the championship promise that they had.
Right. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but there was a video circulating of Shaq at the game, and he had a conversation on the sideline. Well, not on the sideline. He was
hmm
he was actually sitting in the front row. But he was having a conversation with Russ, and he said that he told Russ that he needs to learn to just slow down. I think he might have said slow the fuck down or something like that. Um,
right, right.
but do you feel like that's kind of been a little bit of the problem that Russ uh just seems to be playing at like a too quick of a pace sometimes?
Absolutely. I think that's the way he's always played. You know, it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. And, Russ is 32, 33 years old right now. And he's been playing the game that way his whole life. And in this situation with the Lakers, he's not needed to play the game in that way. He's needed in other ways. And that's upon him to make those sacrifices that he has been making and learning, the role that they need him in order for them to succeed. I thought last night's game was pretty interesting because he didn't have LeBron and he didn't have AD, And I was like, well, this is gonna be a Russ game. This could go good or it could go really really bad. And it was I hated that they lost the game, but it was refreshing to see that in some ways he still got it.
Right. Um, you know, I've always felt like and this is not me to just knock LeBron James, but I've always felt like it's really hard to be on a team with him. It seems like unless you just like a spot up jump shooter, right? And it
Right.
because it kind of seemed like LeBron James and Russell Westbrook sort of do the same thing, right? They both sort of,
Hmm.
in essence, play point guard, and neither one of them are like outstanding shooters.
Right.
Um, and I feel like,
Especially Russ.
yeah, especially Russ, and I feel like a lot of it has to do with the fact that outside of maybe like Monk, um, Carmelo this year a little bit,
Hmm.
a lot of the Lakers just don't really shoot well. So a lot of times I feel like Russ is just out there with a team that is just not made to help him be successful. And
Yeah, I agree. I don't want to say he's being set up to fail, but they're not doing him any favors by not giving him people to play with that are going to provide spacing and going to provide shooting. I do believe that some of the reason that he was brought on is so in situations like last night when they don't have LeBron and they don't have AD, they can use Russell Westbrook and still be competitive and go out and compete. But at the same time, if he doesn't have the pieces out there on the floor that allow him to be successful and allow the team to be successful, then it's going to fall back on him and it's going to make it look like he's the one who's doing bad when in reality, this team is not constructed for Russell Westbrook. It's constructed for LeBron James.
yeah, definitely. And I want to ask you also to tell me how you felt when you heard that upper management had gave Frank Vogel the ability to bench Westbrook if necessary.
Well, that made me. I was kind of confused because the front office brought him in, and so if they're gonna give the coach permission to bench him in the fourth quarter, and if I ain't mistaken, I think it was just one game. I think he's played in the fourth quarter in the rest of those games, but it was just that one game, and I don't know if that was to send a message to him or whatever. But I know that they said that Russ had a 2-hour meeting with Rob Pelinka after that, after he was benched in the fourth quarter. So I'm guessing they aired some stuff out. I don't know. Things seem to be moving in a better direction since then, but I was definitely confused as to why they would want to put one of your studs out on the bench when even when you put them on the bench, they still lost. It didn't change anything. It wasn't like they magically wasn't like they put them on the bench and all of a sudden they just became a great team. This
Right.
team still has a lot of flaws, but as long as you got Russell Westbrook the scapegoat there, then you can just blame it on him and move on. But I don't know. I was definitely confused. That was the feeling I had the most was confused. Why now and why at this point? Because if they're not healthy, it's not going to matter what they put.
The the part that got me about that situation is this, right? I definitely you know, I feel like Russ definitely has played bad for the majority of the
Hmm.
season. Um
Hmm.
but I feel like that was just super disrespectful, man, because at the end of the day, this is the thing. Um Russell Westbrook is still a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's still a former
Correct.
league MVP. And
Hmm.
to just single him out like that and be like, you have the ability to bench the man. And then I heard later that, and I think even LeBron might have made a comment about Russell being pissed. I don't think he spoke to the media that night. I think he might have just
Yeah, I
left.
read
Like,
that. I read that the Lakers didn't want him speaking to the media that night. That was one of the reasons why he did. They didn't give him permission to speak or something like that. 'Cause I guess they
uh,
know that. I guess they know that shit would have hit the fan if he'd have
yeah,
gone out there. We know how his relationship is with the media. We know that all it would have taken is one wrong question and that shit would have gone sideways real quick.
I absolutely agree with you, man. He really don't like speaking to the media, but that night I think they would have got whatever they wanted out of him because I think he would have had a whole lot to say that night, man. But
Yeah.
deservingly so, man, because I feel like that. That's got to be really embarrassing, and I wasn't aware that he ended up having a meeting with Palinka
Hmm.
until you just told me that, and I would had loved to been a fly on the wall for that one because I bet you there was a reason it was 2 hours, man.
Yeah, it's a long ass meeting.
Yeah, man, and definitely one of the things that I feel like has rubbed a lot of people the wrong way about Russ, and it kind of it kind of made me form an opinion, and I ask you how you feel about it.
All right.
I think one of the things that bothered a lot of people was it seemed like whenever Russ is asked about any of his struggles or his situation with the Laker, he always seems to take a approach or attitude that he just doesn't care, right? So he makes some comments
Hmm.
like, I turned the ball over and ain't nobody gonna do nothing about it, or I don't care about winning. I already won. Like I feel like a lot of those comments kind of turn people off. Do you feel like he makes those comments because he actually believes that, or you think he's just trying to seem unbothered?
I'd say he's trying to seem unbothered. That would be what I would say. I think he's trying to seem unbothered. When it comes to his turnovers, turnovers have been. I mean, I hate to say it, but they've been a staple of his game for a long time. He's always turned the ball over, but the turnovers have not kept him from having success. So I would say that for him, it's hard for him to see turnovers in the negative light that we do because we see the turnovers and we see how it changes the game, how it changes the momentum. But for him, especially with his usage rate, sometimes the turnover is not going to mean much to him. And in some aspects, I agree. In others, I don't. You got to protect the ball. That's got to be the most important thing, especially at the point guard position. But at the same time, it seems like when Russ has turnovers, it's a bigger deal than when other people have turnovers. Russ's turnovers they go viral, just like the viral video of him trying to shoot that bank shot he tries to shoot, and everybody's shooting off the top of the backboard. And, folks made a viral video out of that talking about Russ can't shoot, how he's just a professional shooter. And when he's asked about stuff like that, he's gonna do what he can to seem unbothered. And at the same time, this goes back to his relationship with the media. He's never gonna. He doesn't seem like the type that's ever gonna give the media the I guess the cliched reactions that they love to see. And as a result, he has to suffer the consequences of it. Like I said, I love Russ, but I can't defend everything he does and everything he says because, like you said, some of that stuff that he says is going to turn people off, and I understand why it turns people off. I can understand why they would see that. I can understand why it would seem like he doesn't care about winning or whatever from some of the statements that he's made. But at the same time, we know he cares about winning because he wouldn't play as hard as he does if he didn't care about winning. You just know you don't see people play as hard as he does on every play. Well, except for on defense. His defense leaves a lot to be desired, but that's a whole other topic of discussion.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think he plays so hard on offense that he doesn't have the energy to play on defense, honestly. But one thing about that is, you know, at the very least, you can say he's been reliable for the Lakers. I don't know, has he even missed a game this year?
I don't think so because the one time that he tested positive for COVID, he came back the next day. That was when they changed the rules,
Yeah,
and 24 hours later, he was automatically cleared to play. So, and that's the only time. That's the only time he's ever come close to missing a game. That last night where he was questionable for last night's game, but he didn't miss a game. He played, so he's
yeah,
definitely been the most durable Laker
he
this season.
has.
Him and I think Carmelo. I think Carmelo's played a little more games than I guess the big three, or well, LeBron and AD anyway. Carmelo seems to have been out there quite a bit as well, but that's one thing that Russell Westbrook's always been is durable. You can always count on him to show up and play every night. So
Yeah, for
I
sure.
guess that's one. I guess that's one thing you don't have to worry about. And hopefully, last night was a step in the right direction. Even though they took the L, I hope it's a step in the right direction as far as figuring out ways they can use Russell Westbrook on the floor because he looked good last night in the second half anyway.
Yeah. So one of the things that sparked me and you even having this conversation for me was the fact that I had brought up that maybe the Lakers should look into trading Westbrook for John Wall, and you definitely don't agree with that. So can you tell me why I'm wrong for feeling that way?
All right. Well, for one, just one thing we were speaking on was the durability, and John Wall has shown us over the years that he is not durable. I think the man got injured. What did he do? He tore his Achilles at a Super Bowl party or something like that. I mean, I'd hate to see the Lakers trade Russ Westbrook for John Wall, only to get John Wall, and things start going good, and John Wall gets hurt, and the next it's just LeBron and AD in the playoffs. I think in this year's in this year's playoffs, it's going to take a lot more than LeBron and AD, and I just don't know that John Wall is the answer. To me, they're kind of the same player, but in different ways. John Wall has a high turnover rate as well. John Wall is good at distributing the ball like Russell Westbrook is. John Wall can score the ball like Russell Westbrook can, but I just don't know. And I'm not ready. I'm not ready to give up on how good the Lakers can be with Russ and AD and LeBron. I still think they can have something special. But again, it goes back to health and durability. And if we can't get all three of them on the court, it's really not gonna matter if they have John Wall or Russell Westbrook.
Um, do you think Westbrook is going to finish the season as a Laker?
I hope so, but I mean, you never really know. The trade deadline's coming up. If things are rocky between Russ and the front office, I'd say anything can happen. I see a lot of the pundits and bloggers and stuff like that saying that the Lakers are probably stuck with Westbrook because of his contract, but we've seen crazier things happen before. So I'd hate to sit and think that his contract is going to keep him from being traded when we know that there's a team out there that would probably take on that contract. I read that if they traded him to Houston for John Wall, that there would probably be some kind of buyout, and that Westbrook would end up playing somewhere else instead of Houston. Someone said, "Well, wouldn't it be funny if he got traded to Houston, did the buyout, and then went to the Clippers and stayed in Los Angeles?" I said, "Yeah, as a Laker fan, I definitely don't want to see that." And
Yeah.
with the Clippers, with Paul George is out for the year, and if Kawhi is capable of coming back by the playoffs, giving them another piece like Russ, you never know, it could help them out. Just because it didn't work on the Lakers doesn't mean it wouldn't work on the Clippers.
That's true, man. How much of this do you put in Frank Vogel's lap?
I'll put more of it on Frank Vogel's lap than probably most folks. Frank Vogel's the one who tells the players who's going out on the court. Frank Vogel's the one who keeps trotting Avery Bradley out there on the court. Frank Vogel's the one who chose to play DeAndre Jordan over Dwight Howard last night. Frank Vogel's the one at the end of the day making all these decisions. So for me, I put a lot of the blame on Frank Vogel and the decisions he's making. I think Austin Reeves needs to be playing more, and he played quite a bit last night. That was good to see. I think the Laker I wouldn't mind seeing getting traded is Horton Tucker. Horton Tucker. I really don't know. I really don't know what they can do with him right now. He's been underperforming all season long, and granted, he's not one of the big three, but that's definitely something that needs to be talked about as far as Lakers moving forward. Is what they're going to do with him, if they're going to keep him or try to get a piece for him or not. But I really don't. I hope Russ is there at the end of the year. I hope Russ stays for the duration of his contract, just because I like the story of him being the hometown kid coming back home to play for his hometown team. But if it doesn't work out, it just doesn't work out, and there's really not going to be anything that anybody can do about it except move on and keep rooting for the Lakers.
Yeah. Do you think Frank Vogel is going to be there at the end of the season?
They said I read on Twitter, I think this morning or yesterday, that Frank Vogel will be there through the remainder of the year. I'd say that his job hinges on how they finish the year. If they go to the playoffs, get beat early in the playoffs, I wouldn't expect to see Frank Vogel around. If they can go to the playoffs and make a deep run, then it becomes a little bit more tricky. But that's another one of those things. Their success in the playoffs is going to depend on the team health. And I'm not a Frank Vogel fan, but at the end of the day, if Frank Vogel's coaching the team in the playoffs and he doesn't have Russ, LeBron, and AD, or if they make a trade and they don't have those three out there, it's going to be hard on the Lakers to win without them. That's for sure. So Will Frank Vogel be there at the end of the year? Shoot, I don't know. If I had to guess, I'd say no.
The one thing that has been really weird to me this season with the Lakers is it seems like, and I don't know if they're just trying to appease the fans or whatever, but it seems like there's always something coming from the front office where it's like Frank Vogel's on a case by case basis, or a game by game
Yeah,
basis,
yeah.
or you have the ability to bench this player and that, and I feel like a lot of those things are, it might make the fans feel a little better, but that's got to be super distracting for the team. I don't know how, and I'm gonna defend both of them in this situation. I don't know how Westbrook could actually be motivated to go out and play if he feels like the coach is just waiting for a chance to bench him. And I don't know how Frank Vogel could not be distracted if every single game he feels like it's a possibility of him being fired, man. Do you feel like the Lakers front office has just mishandled this whole situation?
Oh yeah, for sure. The Lakers front office has been a mess for quite some time, and it's they make it harder. They make things harder than they have to be. If I guess that's the way I could say it. They you know they have the decisions they make as far as trying to put the team together, and this goes on Rob Pelinka really probably more so than any of the other ones, but the team that he's put together is just a different kind of team. And if folks want to, I know there'll be folks that'll say that LeBron's a GM, lead GM. I'm sure that's what they call him.
Yeah.
I'd say LeBron has a lot of input in this, but I'm hesitant to put it all on LeBron because at the end of the day, Pelinka's the one who has to make these decisions. And this team they put together is different. It's old. Probably, if I'm not mistaken, they have the oldest average age in the league,
Yeah,
and that's
I
with
think it's
AD.
around
And
36, I believe.
yeah, that's old, man. I mean, these dudes are past their prime, and they're gonna have to overachieve if they're gonna have any kind of success in the playoffs. So, man, it's front office, man. And this goes back to the Jim Buss days. It hasn't been it hasn't been as smooth as I would like it to be as far as putting the product on the floor. But when they do stuff like they did in 2020 in the bubble when they won the championship, it makes it hard to fix whatever the problems are. I don't know. I hope that makes sense. But winning covers up everything, and LeBron has been the great eraser.
Right.
So as long as he can go out and do what he does and lead the team to the promised land, then folks are going to overlook the disaster of this situation that they were put in. And like I said, that goes back on Rob Pelinka, in my opinion. You know, like I said, I love Russ, but I'd be lying if I said that I thought Russ was a better fit than somebody like DeMar DeRozan.
Right.
And DeMar DeRozan recently said he's willing to take a pay cut. DeMar DeRozan would have fit in perfectly with this team. That's what they need, another shooter. I mean, my man can shoot from mid range, he can shoot three, he can penetrate, he can score at all three levels, and he's not gonna he's not gonna have the flaws that Russell Westbrook has. DeMar DeRozan seemed like a perfect fit. So I'm unsure as to why they were I'm unsure as to why they went and got Russ. I know they said that LeBron and AD had a lot to do with it. So if they did, I guess we'll just have to wait and see if this plays out like they want it to. But I'm not gonna lie, I probably would have preferred to have DeMar DeRozan on the team than Russell Westbrook. But again, as a Westbrook fan, I love having Westbrook on the Lakers. So it's kind of a catch-22 for me.
Do you
But
do you feel like Rob Pelinka is the right GM for the job?
hmm, hmm. I want to say yes, and a lot of that goes to him being the GM when they brought the title in. But how much credit does Rob Pelinka deserve for that title? I guess is the question because at the end of the day, LeBron chose the Lakers. The Lakers didn't choose LeBron. LeBron was coming to LA whether they regardless. So man, man,
And the reason why I'm asking, right,
I
is
don't know.
because
It's a good question.
the reason why I'm asking that is because I feel like and I don't know if Palinka is just doing whatever LeBron says, but it seems like he's made an extreme amount of mistakes, right? Number one, I feel like when they was coming off of their championship, I feel like they just decided to blow the team up. And I don't know if maybe it was just people was asking for too much money or whatever, but I feel like they ended up just losing a lot of key pieces. Like right now, it really looks bad that they let Caruso go. You know what I mean? And
Yo, yeah.
and then like you said, they didn't bring in DeRozan and different things like that. So it just seemed like he just keeps making the wrong decision, I would say. And I don't know if it's because he's just maybe he's afraid to like go against whatever he feels like LeBron wants or
I mean that I say that plays a part in it. I was talking with some friends the other day, and a buddy of mine was like, "Well, Plinton needs to quit listening to LeBron, and he needs to make his own decisions." And I said, "Well, that's easier said than done because LeBron holds all the leverage. If you're not going to listen to LeBron's going to pack up and go somewhere else where they will listen." And we all know that nobody wants to see LeBron leave the Lakers. So he's going to have a lot of say in the personnel, but at the same time, Palinka's going to have to do a better job of convincing LeBron that maybe his way might not be the right way, or that there might be another way to do things.
right.
But the question I have though is, who brought back Avery Bradley, and who's the one who said no to Caruso? Because clearly, I don't think they consulted LeBron with Caruso, because I'm sure LeBron would have kept Caruso, and
And
Caruso was willing to take less money from LA than he was from Chicago,
yeah,
and they still couldn't get it done. So it goes back to with DeRozan as well. And funny how they both end up on Chicago, but
yep,
it goes back to DeRozan. DeRozan was willing to take a pay cut as well. So at some point, Rob Pelinka is going to have to figure out if he's going to be the goat or the scapegoat, because it's going to be one or the other. He's not going to be able to. He's not going to be able to get away with being. He's not going to be able to get away with being just one.
right.
It's going to be. It's going to be one or the other.
And no matter what happens this season, right? I think next year they're gonna have to go in a different direction. Like they've seen now that LeBron James is just one of those guys that he's special enough to where he might be able to perform at an advanced age, but the rest of these guys just are not going to be able to do it. So obviously they're going to have to go in a different direction, right?
Yeah,
So
especially with Westbrook. What's going on with Westbrook right now kind of reminds me of what happened at the end of Allen Iverson's career, when the athleticism was starting to fade and they had to rely on other aspects of their game to succeed, and it just didn't work out. Just didn't work out that well, and the fall from grace can be harder for those who rely on their athleticism as opposed to those who rely on actual basketball skills to be successful. So I think a lot of that's happening with Russ, and we're seeing a decline now. I can only imagine what the decline is going to look like next year when he's added another year of age to him, and Father Time is undefeated.
right,
Might it might not have caught up to LeBron, but it's definitely catching up to Russ.
yeah. So when LeBron first came to LA, right, he was very
Hmm.
eager to win a championship, and he had a young core on the team. He had a young Lonzo. He had um, a young Ingram, a young Randall.
Hmm.
He had what's the other boy's name that went to the Pelicans as well? I forgot what his name.
Brandon Ingram.
Nah, not him. The other guy, Hart. He had Hart.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Josh Hart.
Um, do you ever look back on that and feel like the Lakers should have just been a little more patient and in the long run they would have been more successful than trying to win right away?
Well, that's another catch-22, because these guys have proven that they can go to other teams and be successful in their own ways. Uh, Randall went out and got that big extension, so the question comes, well, would Randall have been able to become that good playing alongside of LeBron? Same thing with Brandon Ingram. Would he been able to come this good playing alongside of LeBron? I think Lonzo would have been fine, and I think Kuzma would have been fine. But and Josh Hart, I think he'd have been fine. But for guys like Randall and Ingram, I think they're probably just too good to play that sidekick role. And as young as they are, they're hunting for contracts. So I don't know how that would have worked. I would have been interested in watching that and interested in seeing that because those kids got talent. It's funny we still call them the kids
Yeah,
because they were all so young when they came to the Lakers. And man, I don't shoot. It's catch 22. I don't have any regrets because the Lakers won a title, so it's hard to say. Well, we should have kept them
yeah,
because who knows if they would have won a title if they'd have kept them. But they definitely would have been sitting in a much better spot, I
yeah,
think, today if they would have kept them.
yeah. It just it
But how do you say no to Anthony Davis? That's
right.
how do you when you have opportunity to get him in his prime? How do you say no to that?
Yeah, it
It's just
just
hard to have regrets about it.
yeah. It kind of sucks for y'all because the way it worked out was LeBron comes and he got the young team, and instead of being patient and working with them, he gets rid of them because obviously he's up in age and he needs to win
Hmm.
right away. I
Right.
wonder if he if he knew he was going to be able to perform the way he's performing now, if he would have just rode it out for the first couple of years in hopes that he maybe could get one or two more on the back end, because it seemed like the way it worked out was he got rid of the young dudes and he was able to grab one championship, and then he got
Hmm.
stuck with a whole bunch of old dudes, and now it's like I don't know if he'll be able to get another one before he gets out of here, man. And I know me personally, I'm a Michael Jordan guy, so I would rather
Right.
not see him get another one because then there would just be another notch for them to be getting at me about the GOAT stuff. Um,
Right.
but it's kind of unfortunate because I feel like he might have put himself in a position by rushing so soon that he may not end up getting another one, man. And that would be unfortunate because he actually is playing super good, man. But he just might have constructed the team in a way that he really doesn't have like, and I hate to say he doesn't have help, right? Because that's always
Right.
been his excuse for when he's came up short in any other part of his
Right.
career. But this year he really just doesn't seem to have a whole lot of help. And Anthony Davis is like you said, man, you can't pass up on Anthony Davis, but it's just kind of unfortunate because he just really he just can't stay available, man. And
Right.
I felt like if y'all would have really been able to get, you know, a lot of quality minutes out of him, y'all may have been able, even with the older cats, been able to pull off another one. But it's just gonna be hard because you just feel like, every year he's gonna miss 20 plus games, man.
Hmm.
And at this point, do you like would you consider moving him, or do you just feel like you got to ride it out with him because he's so talented?
I feel like you got to ride it out with him because he's so talented. There's we don't see guys like Anthony Davis all that often. And I don't know if you got a chance to watch that game, the Lakers and Sixers the other night. I
Yeah,
mean, I'm not gonna say that he destroyed Joel Embiid, but he definitely outplayed that man. And that's the Anthony Davis that the Laker fans expected to get. That's the Anthony Davis we expect to see. That's the Anthony Davis who helped them win the title back in the bubble back in 2020. So I'm not giving up on AD. I wouldn't give up on AD. I wouldn't change anything as far as the past, as far as acquiring AD. But what you said is true. It's tough to depend on a dude that is going to miss games. It's tough to depend on a dude that is you hold your breath every time he hits the floor, and that man hits the floor a lot. I don't know how many Laker games you get to watch, but when he plays, man, that man is on the floor, and every time he hits the floor, it's always a concern: is he gonna get up? And if he does get up, is he going to the locker room? But
yeah.
but
See, when I don't know if you got a chance to listen to it, but a show I did a couple shows ago, I was talking about how the modern basketball is hard on the big man, and I feel like Anthony Davis is the prime example of that because from where he grew up playing ball as a guard, he still hasn't really
Hmm.
been able to transition into being a complete big man. And
Right.
I understand that, you know, to keep up in today's basketball league, you have to shoot threes because the three ball is just prioritized now. But
Yeah, it is.
I feel like if Anthony Davis would embrace being a real big man, I feel like he would get hurt a whole lot less, and he would be able to do, he would be able to have more performances like he did the other night. Do you feel like when Anthony Davis is healthy and he's focused, is he the best player in the NBA?
Shoot, he's definitely up. He definitely makes a case for it. Because when you look at what he does on both sides of the ball, there's just not anybody who's doing it like he does. I mean, you're talking about a man who can he can he can score at all three levels as well, but he can also defend you with the ability of being defensive player of the year. And man, that combo is just hard to beat. But I want to know what his hesitancy is about playing the five. It seems like whenever they talk about him playing the five, he always seems to be against it, and he wants to play power forward. But it just seems like he would dominate the NBA even more so if he played the five. There's just not going to be anybody who can really check that man when he can take the ball, take when he can score pretty much anywhere he wants to on the floor.
And see, another point that I had made in that episode also was, if you remember, when he was at Kentucky, Calipari kept him under the basket, man, and
Hmm.
he took the least amount of shots on the team,
Hmm.
and he was a super efficient, dominant player, man. I mean, he didn't get injured. He was always available, and he probably shot, you know, I'd have to go back and look, but I say he probably shot close to 70% from the field because the way Calipari's offense was designed, he would have guards attack the basket and just drop off to Davis. And, you know, if you got solid guard play and they can penetrate and get him the ball in certain positions, it's just really no way you can stop him. And he
Yeah.
shoots free throws well, and that's the most dominant. I feel like when he embraces playing underneath the basket, and I get it, man. You can shoot good, so I'm not saying that he can't do some face up moves, but I would like to see him embrace, you know, 12 feet and closer to the rim, and I
Yeah, me
and,
too. He could really dominate the game that way.
and I feel like it would stop him from doing so many guard moves because when you get him handling the ball and trying to do cutback moves and all that to get to the basket, it's just gonna be a recipe for disaster. And like you said, every time he hits the ground, you just don't know what's gonna happen, man. And he needs to do a whole lot more jumping straight up and down instead of, going side to side and gliding to the rim. Um,
Hmm.
and I think it, you know, I think if he was able to embrace that, I think even still, if he could stay healthy, you couldn't really count the Lakers all the way out, man. I mean, I know it looks bad. It looks like if they draw Golden State or Phoenix, that they're gonna get beat. But
Hmm.
it still would be hard for me to just completely count them out, man. Do you feel like they have any potential to make a run in this playoffs this year?
I think they definitely have the potential, and that's mainly, but it depends again on pretty much what we've been saying on how healthy they are. And one thing about LeBron, we've seen him win with worse. So now whether he still got it in his tank and what he's going to look like, because I guess that's one concern I have. With him playing as well as he has been playing, can he sustain this? Can he keep this up? And right now I'm feeling like he can. So if they can get to the playoffs and hopefully get a better seed where they're not playing Golden State or Phoenix in the first round, and they can be healthy, then I like their chances to make a deep run. I mean, Memphis is playing good, but at the end of the day, if I got the Lakers versus Memphis in the playoffs, I'm probably going to choose the Lakers if they're healthy, just because of LeBron and because of AD.
Do you
But
um
that's the most important. That's the most important thing. They got to be healthy.
do you feel like Utah's a threat, or do you believe you can get Utah?
I feel like they can get Utah. I feel like Utah is frauds. They don't put any fear in anybody. I don't feel like, and I mean, at the end of the day, they really still haven't had success in the playoffs yet. So they don't. Utah really doesn't scare me. I'd love to see Utah in the first round.
I actually
Love it.
100% agree with you. I feel like Utah is a regular season team, and
Hmm.
and they just for some reason they just collapse in the playoff, man.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah. I can't figure it out. I like Donovan Mitchell, but I just don't. I don't like him in Utah. I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to seeing if he goes somewhere else like they're saying that he will.
yeah, definitely. I feel like at some point he's gonna have to start chasing the rings, and he'll end up on a super team, and you know,
Yeah, that'll be fun to watch. I'm here for it.
yeah, man, he's one of those young guys that eventually, they'll start looking at him a little funny, like the way they do Dame Lillard a little bit. And
Yeah.
he'll
Oh
have
yeah.
to make that decision. Is he gonna ride it out like Dame, or is he gonna try and go get that ring? You never know, man. But
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's true.
yeah. But so I think we about ready to wrap, man. But before we cut this off, man, what what is the end of this season gonna look like, man? Who's winning the championship?
Man, right now, if I had to put money on it right now, I'd probably put my money on Phoenix. No lie. I can't stand Chris Paul. I never have liked Chris Paul, but I can't deny how good of a point guard that man is. He got. I always said back in the day, if Phoenix got a point guard, they'd be dangerous, and they didn't just get a point guard. They went out and got Chris Paul. Made it to the finals last year. I feel like they're on a mission with unfinished business, and that team, man, they're playing some good ball. I mean, I hate to pick a team that's got the best record in the NBA and whatnot, but at the end of the day, man, they just got a nice squad, man. Devin Booker, man, I don't see anybody that can stop that man, and nobody really talks about Phoenix. Everybody's talking about the Lakers more so than anything else, but Phoenix would probably be the team that I would put my money on,
Yes, sir, man.
as
Well,
much as I hate to say it.
yeah. That's probably who I would go with too. Actually, last year I felt like it was fool's gold that they made it to the finals. To be honest with you, I wasn't
Hmm.
ready to buy in, and then I was really shocked that Chris Paul came back. Actually,
Right.
and then I was kind of like, well, he just taking the money, and he's just going in his career with no championship. And then they shocked me, and they proved to me that it was not, in fact, fool's gold, and they
Hmm.
are a problem to deal with, man. But anyways,
Yeah.
man, look, man, I want to thank you for coming on.
Man, thank you for having me on, man. I appreciate the opportunity to get on here with you, man. It's tight.
Yes, sir, man, and we'll probably have to talk again soon because I feel like the Lakers, we're gonna have to keep an eye on them and see what happens, man. You never know with this organization and this front office. Um, but good luck to you and your boy Russell, man, and we'll see,
Yeah.
man. We'll see what
I
happens.
appreciate that.
Yes, sir, man. Well, anyways, man, thanks for having me, man, and we'll get back at another time.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me, man. I'll talk to you.
All right, brother, take it easy.
Yes, sir.